I'm so excited. I arrived here in Greece yesterday on the Isle of Rhodes, and it is spectacular. In this video, I'll be exploring the old town of Rhodes, contained within its ancient city walls. And I'll take the journey south to Lindos, with its beautiful Acropolis and stunning rugged coastline. Rhodes is a living museum embodying centuries of history. History buff or not, a stay here makes you appreciate its beauty and its historical significance. Everywhere I look is ancient buildings, archways, and temple ruins. I feel like I'm walking through time. Right now, I'm on my way to the Street of Knights of Rhodes. The Street of Knights is a 600-meter-long walk into the past. It begins at what was originally the hospital, and it ends at the Palace of the Grand Master. In between, there are 7 inns, one for each of the Knights of St. John Hospitaller. Located at the end of the Street of Knights is the Palace of the Grand Master. It was originally built in the 7th century as a Byzantine citadel. Then 600 years later, in 1309, the Knights Hospitaller occupied Rhodes and took it over as their administrative center and the palace of their Grand Master, or head of the Order of Knights. Of special significance are some frescoes by renowned artists, along with floors paved with ancient mosaics of Byzantine and Roman art. The interior yard contains many statues from the Greek and Roman era. This is a huge castle with 158 rooms, 24 of which contain antiquities and are open to the public. So it costs €8 to enter the palace, or you can pay €10 and get a combo ticket, which includes the palace and the archaeological museum. Going as far back as 305 BC, Rhodes was already enclosed by walls. Then the Greeks and the Romans came and added even more fortifications. Then again in 1309, when the Knights of St. John took over, they added even more things, like forts, towers, and this moat. The moat is a great place to walk around, surrounded by history, away from the crowds. It's easy to imagine the countless battles that would have taken place here. There are hundreds of these stone balls here in the bottom of this moat. I don't know if they were flung from a trebuchet or a catapult or just rolled off the edge of the wall, but I can imagine that they were quite effective in keeping people away. There were originally 11 gates leading into the old city. 3 have been closed down over the centuries. This one behind me is Marine Gate. It was closed down in 1881. It is still open for foot traffic, but it is beautiful to look at. Each gate has its own name and its own historical story to tell. These gates are all fascinating and beautiful, and at each one you can find something different, from ancient ruins to modern art galleries, but they're a great way to discover the city. There are even spots where you can climb the stairs to the top of the walls and take in views beyond the medieval city, including the Aegean Sea, the Port of Rhodes, and some beautiful beaches. Known as the Goths, these 3 windmills stand at the entrance of Madraki Harbour as a testament to medieval ingenuity. There was once 18 of these windmills, and they served a dual purpose. They ground corn for export, but they were also used as fortification towers by the Navy of the Knights of St. John. At this small entrance to the harbor here behind me are the graceful statues of the Rhodian does. There's the doe on this side and the stag on the other side. Rhodian deer have been here since Neolithic times, and these ones stand as guardians to the harbor. Behind me here is where the Colossus of Rhodes once stood. He was one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Built in 280 BC, he stood 108 feet high, the same height as the Statue of Liberty. He only stood for 54 years, and then a massive earthquake hit Rhodes and he broke off at the knees. From here, you can view cruise ships heading in. When cruise ships arrive at Rhodes Port, it can get very busy, but if you venture just a few blocks off the beaten path, you are rewarded with beautiful streets that are just oozing with charm. About an hour south of Rhodes Old Town, on the eastern side of the island, you can find the ancient and beautiful village of Lindos. When I think of Greece, I think of narrow stone streets and whitewashed buildings, and Lindos is the picture-perfect example of an ancient Greek village. Sitting on several small protected coves, Lindos is blessed with some picturesque beaches and plenty of rocky shoreline. While strolling these magical streets and narrow alleys of Lindos, it is easy to get turned around, but you can always figure out your location by looking up at this area's most famous attraction, perched on a rocky hill. The Lindos Acropolis, or ancient Greek city, stands 116 meters above sea level. It's a little effort to get up to the Acropolis. There's a lot of steps and some of them are pretty rough, but you can see why the Acropolis was built up here. You get a great view of the surrounding mountains behind, the city below, and the sea views are amazing. This was the center of religious, social, and political life in ancient times. At the summit of the Acropolis, you can find the Temple of Athena Lindia, built in the 3rd century BC. Although she remained the principal goddess of the temple, the cult of Zeus was introduced by the Romans in 352 BC. The Knights of St. John were here centuries later, from the 1300s till the mid-1500s. Then they were forced to hand the island of Rhodes over to the forces of the Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent. If you watched our Istanbul videos, you might remember that the same thing happened to the knights' fortresses over there as well. When you come out of the Acropolis, there's a little trail that veers off to the right, and you can follow that out here to the edge of a cliff. And you get the most amazing views of these beautiful rock formations, the cliffs behind me, and this spectacular view of the sea. I sat here for a while looking out at the dramatic Aegean Sea, excited that tomorrow I'm taking a ferry to my next destination in Greece. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe.